So once we have the activities, then activities can also have resources and costs assigned to them. And resources are different to the colour codes which were shown, which of these are just responsibility codes. So in the library, in the resource library, we can have different resources, and these can be hierarchically arranged. So you can have parents and children and parents in this library. It greatly simplifies the list, and the folder level is also quite an important concept about skills. But in this particular case, I've got a window, a view that I've already created, and in that view what we've got is a different table that we looked at before, and I've also got different histograms on the bottom of the screen. So you don't have to have a resource assigned before you can see a histogram. And here at the bottom I've got a histogram with multiple resources on a single histogram. You can create histogram types in a library, and many are created in this example file. So in my task pools that I brought into the system, I'd already set up some standard resources. So let's look at how we would assign a resource. We can choose them on from our left hand side, and we can say, well, we want carpenters on the fencing. We can just drag and drop onto an activity, and that will place a resource here in the column, but also on the body of the plan. And unlike Microsoft Project, you don't have to have this task selected before it will show you any items in the plan itself. Anything that I print out will show me exactly what I've got on screen. But rather than just putting dragging an activity here, a resource here, we can also put a number. So I might need 3 resources, 3 carpenters to do the fencing. I don't need anybody to do the help with the demolition, but a couple of guys on the excavation, maybe one guy with this situation here. We need a couple people. And when I add a resource there, you see on this particular graph that we're exceeding the number of people that we have available to us. So we'll just close that graph. So we're exceeded a capacity. I've given that a capacity in the property. So maybe I say, well, actually, we're going to have 7 people on this particular process if we employ them. We've still got a problem with that, potentially, and we could reschedule to see if we can get rid of that issue, and it has overcome that issue, but there would have come a situation where we wouldn't be able to resolve a problem in this circumstance. And then you can either move the activities yourself to try and overcome that difficulty, or you can let the system do it for you. So it's possible under the allocation tab to level these resources, to take that overusage, that red bit, on a single or multiple resources, and depending on what you want to do, you can also let the system find a solution to the problem that you've just presented it with. So it's very good for resource limited scheduling. We probably want to undo that level so that we're more in control of the project as it happens at the moment. So Power Project is particularly good for resource planning. If we change the duration of an activity which has got a resource, we see the impact on those resources. So we can either set the effort of that resource as constant, or the number of people involved in that. And each activity, the duration can also be set by the rate of production. So the resources themselves can have a financial value, so we can go to our View tab, open another window, and that window contains the same activities that we had previously, but also it's got some histograms on the bottom. It's got a cost histogram, a cumulative curve of how we achieve the expenditure, and also in the bottom window a histogram showing us how much future monthly payments are likely to be. So this is our projection of income, and this labour amount has been calculated from the number of hours on this activity. So it takes longer, it takes more hours, the labour price increases. If I undo that, I could put a different amount for materials, so even though the labour price might increase, the materials won't. So Power Project accommodates these multiple cost centres, but also you can say, well, somebody just told me it cost £8,000 to £7,000 to do that, and we can see the impact instantly on our cash flow. We can preview that on screen so we can see exactly what that looks like, exactly as it is on the page, including the graphs. So you have the ability to print those out in Power Project, unlike Microsoft Project. We can take one of these graphs and we can present it in its own window. So we can see one of these graphs solely on its own, and we can print it out in that way, as well as exporting the information to Microsoft Excel or a spreadsheet system. So Power Project is very capable of resource and cost management.